today. The sermon's going to come from Job, the 42nd chapter, beginning at verse number 10. It's Job, the 42nd chapter, beginning at verse number 10. I'm grateful to be here on today. Thank God for the pastor. Thank God for the first lady. Thank God for my wife, the musician, all the members and friends on today. Job, the 42nd chapter, beginning at verse number 10. Said, and the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers, all his sisters, and all of those who had been his acquaintances before came to him and ate food with him in his house. And they consoled him and comforted him for all the adversity that the Lord had brought upon him. Each one gave him a piece of silver, and each a ring of gold. Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Now let's skip down to verse number 17. It says, so Job died old and full of days. Somebody say full of days. Full of days. I'm going to preach from the topic of today of bounce back. All right. Bounce back. Amen. And for a subtopic, why do bad things happen to good people? All right. Why do bad things happen to good people? Mm-hmm. One thing about, we know that Job was a good man. If we had to say anything about him, Job was a good man. Each of us are good people, I would believe. But that does not excuse us from having trials in our lives. So Job here was one who was upright and blameless before God. He one who feared God, and he also loved the Lord, and he shunned evil. The Bible declares he did. And for some reason or another, he still has some trials. So this first point is we bounce back after unexpected trials. Job was tested because God allowed for him to be tested. Each of us are tested because God allows for us to be tested. It was nothing that Job had done wrong. If we had to say Job was doing everything right. Job was not perfect, but he still was living right. Each of us in our daily life, you may not have done anything wrong, but for some reason you still get trials that come up along the way. So if we begin to look at the characteristics of Job, Job will be described as a good man, a good person on today. But there's another thing that we have to worry about in life, and that person is called the devil. So the Bible declares that the devil had been walking to and fro across the earth, trying to see who he could devour. Said that the sons of God were having a meeting one day, and the devil showed up unexpectedly to the meeting. Don't you know when you're doing well in life that the devil will show up in some places where he had no business showing up? Sometimes the devil will show up unexpectedly to your job. Sometimes the devil will show up unexpectedly to your house. Sometimes the devil will show up unexpectedly to the hospital, to a funeral, or to your church house. Sometimes the devil just shows up unexpectedly. The devil does not have to be invited, but he'll just show up into your life. So he comes, the Bible declares, he comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. And so here he is, he comes to the meeting. And God said, what are you doing? He said, I've been walking to and fro across the earth to see who I can devour. And so here it is that as a Christian, you can expect to be tested. Some people say that as a Christian, you should not be tested. But don't you know that's when the devil begins to get on your trail. As soon as you accept God into your life, the adversity comes along the way. As soon as you accept God into your life, that's when the devil gets on your trail. When you accept God into your life, the hellhounds will begin to hound you. When you accept God into your life, that's when the dogs come up in your life. That's when people start persecuting you. That's when people start talking about you. That's when you begin to lose your joy when you become a Christian. And that is something that we can expect. The Bible never declared, and God never told us that it was going to be easy along the way. That's one thing that we can expect as a Christian, that we can have some trials and tribulation in our life. John 16:33 told us, these things I have spoken to you. This is Jesus talking, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. And because Jesus has suffered, you can also expect to go through some things. If God allowed for his son to be persecuted, if God allowed for his son to be tested, then that means that you as a Christian, that means you as a pastor, you as a lay member, me as a preacher can expect to go through some things along life's way. Sometimes in life, things just come up and happen unexpectedly. You have some unexpected trial in your life. And matter of fact, as a Christian, you can expect to be tested more. The Bible declares that you're going to have some tribulations in your life. You have some unexpected health issues that come up along the way. You've been doing well in your life, and for some reason you went to the doctor expecting not for anything to happen, but all of a sudden you got some things going on in your body. You've been doing well in your life, and then you get some financial issues that come up in your life. You've been doing well, and then all of a sudden you have inflation that happens. Gas goes up to $4 a gallon. Sometimes you've been doing well in life, and unexpectedly things begin to happen. You've been doing well, but then unexpectedly you would lose a loved one. Your brother died, your mother died, your father died, sister or brother died, grandmother and granddaddy died. Sometimes unexpectedly in life, while you're doing well, the devil just comes up in your life. Trials are going to happen as long as you call yourself a Christian. And so then unexpectedly, secondly, you bounce back after not knowing. Here in this chapter, Job had to declare that there was some things that he didn't know. He had to explain that God can do everything in his life. I want to tell you something. He had to say on today, there's some things I don't know. You have to admit that there's some things that you don't know. Even with degrees that you have, you got to believe that you don't know everything. No matter what your occupation is, you don't know everything. No matter how smart you are, you don't have everything. You don't know everything. There's some limitations in your life. In the presence of God, you have to believe. This is what Job was saying. In the presence of God, God can bring comfort even in your storm. God can do everything. There's some things that I can't do that God can do. There's some things that mom and daddy can't do that God can do. There's some stuff that God can do that the preacher can't do. And so in my life, I have to admit that God can do and he knows everything. And so in the presence of God, even while I'm going through my twists and turns in life, even while I'm going through hell in my life, God can still do everything because God is in control. God is in control of everything that happens in your life. When you don't understand what's going on, when you don't understand what God is doing, God has the power to do anything but fail. And so we may not know the plans of God, but you have to know that God was just working it for your good. When you didn't know why you were going through hell, God was just working it for your good. While you didn't know why you were going through heartache and pain, God was working it for your good. When you didn't know all the things that were happening in your life, God was working it out in your favor. When you were trying to figure it out, God had already worked it out. And so God allows for our trials to happen for a purpose. And so this is what he was saying. He was saying God can do everything. He was just saying God can work everything for a purpose. If you go back to chapter 1, it tells you that his oxen and donkeys were killed, and then his servants, his oxen and donkeys were taken, and his servants were killed. It said fire burned up his sheep and his servants. It said that the Chaldeans came and took his camels and killed all his servants. Job's 10 children died. I don't know about you, but I don't know if you ever lost somebody in your life and it just hurt you to the core. You don't know why it happened, but it just hurt you to the core. And I can't imagine just losing all of my kids at one time like this. So Job had to be a one who understood God. He had to be one that knew what God was doing, because it said still after this, he still did not not curse God to his face. Yeah. He still refused to sin against God. Yeah. And sometimes you got to understand is that people around you won't understand what God is trying to do in your life. No matter what it is, no matter who it is, they don't understand sometimes what God is trying to do in your life. See, sometimes people may have some explanation, but they don't understand what it is that God has purposed you for. It does not matter who it is. It does not matter if it's your mama or daddy. It does not matter if it's sister or brother. It does not matter if it's your spouse. Sometimes they don't understand what God has placed on your life. Some people don't understand the things that you go through in life. Some people don't understand the trial that you go through. You may go to them for a solution, and you may go to them seeking an answer, but they don't have all the questions or the answers. They don't have all the answers to your problems. They don't have all the answers that you are looking for. And so sometimes you just got to drop down to your knees and believe that God knows what he's doing in your life. I don't know about you on today, but I know that God, when he takes me through some stuff, he has to know what he's doing. Yeah. See, if I look in the Bible, I see example after example of people that God knew he was doing. See, they didn't understand in the midst of it, but God knew what he was doing. And sometimes when you go to folks, they don't understand. They may try to give you the best answers that they can, but they don't know what God is trying to do with your life. Yeah. And so sometimes people don't understand the purpose that God has had for your trials. Why are you saying this? Because the Bible declares that when the devil couldn't get Job to curse God after he had done all of these things to him, he went back to the meeting. Yeah. The devil is going to continue to try to attack you when he can't get you the first time. He's going to continue to attack you when he can't get you ensnare you in his trap. The devil is going to try to attack you when he can't get you down. When he sees he can't break your joy. When he sees that he can't break your peace. He's going to keep trying to attack you different ways. It may not come in the form that you expect. He may attack you through your children. He may attack you financially. But he's going to continue to attack you when he can't get you down. So he went back to God trying to get permission. And God said, have you considered my servant Job? And so he said, yes. He said, flesh is for flesh. And so God said, you can do all of this, just don't touch his soul. So he then went back and he said he afflicted Job with boils from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. He was afflicted with sores. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know why he was going through this. It said his wife said, you ought to curse him and die. And don't you know it's the people that are around you when they don't know the solution, when they ain't like you, when they're not like-minded, when they're not righteous, they don't understand what it is that you're going through. See, you've been trying to seek answer from people who don't have God on the inside of them. You've been trying to seek answer from people who don't even pray. You've been trying to seek answer from people who don't even read the Bible. And when they try to give you an answer, it's from a worldly perspective. And so here it is. She said, you ought to curse God and die. And so Job said, woman, you speak as a foolish woman. Should we expect good and not expect evil? So you got to understand that in your life, in the way that God blessed you with the sunshine, he also going to allow from rain to drop on you sometime. The same way he can do this, he's also going to turn some things around. And so she said, woman, you speak as a foolish woman. So he knew you were going to have to go through some things. But then Job also had 3 friends too. Yeah. Said they came and sat with him for 7 days and 7 nights. They still didn't understand what he was going through. Some people thought he had sinned. They thought God was punishing him. They thought God was chastising him. Often people, no matter how long they've been around you, they don't understand what it is that you're going through. Some people don't understand your God because they don't have the same mind that's in you. And so if the Bible declares that let the same mind be in you that is also in Christ Jesus. And so when people don't have the same mind as you, they don't understand what it is that God is doing in your life. And so you got to understand that everybody in this season can't be around you when God is taking you through some stuff. Everybody can't be around you because they don't understand what it is that God is doing over your life. I don't care how long they've been your friend. I don't care how long they've been your family. But sometimes you got to remove some folks from around you so you can get an answer and a solution from God. Yeah. So these people, they didn't understand what it was that God was doing. So then Job said, listen, I understand this. So Job said, I understand that they don't understand the purpose. And so Job began to speak back to him in chapter 13 and verse 15. And he said, though he slay me, yet still will I trust. You got to understand this. Though you may be going through hell in your life, though you may be going through hot water, sometimes it seems like you can't get your head above water. You understand that God takes you through this and you're going to still have to trust in him. God is not taking you through it to kill you. He's not taking you through it to destroy you, but he's just taking you through it so he can just make you better. Somebody say, God, make me better. And so he understood this, and Job also said, I don't know everything. I don't understand everything. And so he said, Job began to think back on some things that he had done. When Job had cried out and regretted the day that he was born, he had cursed the day he was born in chapter 3. And he also debated with his friends the purpose of his child. And when he didn't understand what the stuff that he was going through, he said some stuff foolishly to God. And so sometimes in the midst of your trial, you may say some foolish stuff. You may not understand what it is that you're going through. You may speak beyond what you know. And so sometimes we try to understand what God don't intend for us to understand. Sometimes you're trying to figure out why folks God died when God was just working it for a purpose. Sometimes you're trying to understand why you're going through stuff, but you don't know why it is, but God understands the reason. And so in the midst of this, he said, I have to admit that I don't know everything. So you got to admit that you don't know everything. That's right. And so Psalms 139:6 says, your knowledge is amazing to me. It is more than I can understand. So sometimes God understands. It's more than what we understand. God's thoughts are more than our thoughts. And the Bible also declares in that chapter that you know the way that I take. You know everything about me. Without turning around, you were right there. When you're in front of me, you were right there. So he said, you know everything about me. And because God knows everything about you, he's taking you through it so he can just make you better. And so after you bounce back after not knowing, you bounce back after prayer. This is the third point. Bounce back after prayer. So the Bible declares that beginning in chapter 38 that Job began to encounter God in the whirlwind. He understood God is having a dialogue with him about some stuff that he did not know. And so he's speaking to him. He's speaking to Job, trying to get him to understand that there's a purpose for your trial that you're going through. By the end of chapter 41, Job now understands. And now he's admitting in 42 that what he didn't understand. And so God said, listen here, Job, I need you to do something for me. I'm going to speak to Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, and I'm going to let them know that there was some stuff they didn't understand. He said, you didn't want it like as Job was, so I need you to take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and I need you to go ahead and let Job pray over you, because there was some stuff that you did not know. And because you did not know this, in order for you to get everything back, in order for me to accept your sacrifice, I need you to let Job pray over you. See, watch this. In this season, the folks who didn't understand what God was doing, God would turn it around sometimes where they would have to bless you. Sometimes the folks who talked about you, sometimes the folks who persecuted you, the folks who take you down to nothing, the folks who said God was punishing you, God would have to turn the situation around when you have to pray over them. It may not be convenient sometimes, but God sometimes will turn it around and he will let you pray over your enemies. And so these people who didn't understand the purpose of Job's trial, God did not guarantee Job anything. Sometimes your prayer is not a guarantee that something's going to happen. Sometimes you just praying expecting that God is going to do something. You may not have any expectation of what God is going to do, but sometimes you got to pray not understanding what God is going to do in return. Sometimes you got to go down to God, hand it over to him, not expecting to get anything in return, but you just saying, Lord, I know who you are, and because I know who you are, I understand that you can do something. I don't understand what you're going to do, but I know that you can do something. Sometimes we got to step out on faith, and God will look out for you. Sometimes when you step out on faith, God will begin to answer some prayers. Sometimes when you begin to step out on faith, God will begin to dry up some tears. And because God hears your prayer, he will see you through. And so the Bible declares in James 5:16, the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous man availeth much. I don't know about you on today. I understand that Job was a righteous man. And because he knew about God, God understood him and God was going to see him through. God is going to take care of his own people. God will see you through. The Bible says, when David began to talk, he said that when he was old, now he said he was young, but now he's old. He said, I never see the righteous forsaken, nor a seed begging bread. And he also said that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. So sometimes when you can't see what God is doing, because you're on his side, God will see you through. See, watch this. So God will turn your situation around so that your enemy will have to acknowledge his power. And so after he asked them to go and have Job to pray over them and tell Job the same thing. And so basically what this verse was saying is that Job was free. And Job was free from captivity once he prayed for them. See, the stuff that had him bound, once he prayed for them, and he was released from it. See, God is going to release you from some stuff that had you bound. See, the things that have been holding you back, now, it was contingent on him praying for them. See, sometimes when you've been going through some stuff, all you got to do is go down on your knees to be set free. God is getting ready to free you from some stuff as long as you can believe that he can do it for you on today. When you begin to hand it over to him, the act of praying is what changed him. See, before God could change him, and God had to change his relationship. As long as he still had resentment, as long as he was still bitter against some folks, as long as he still had some stuff against Eliphaz, Bildad, and so forth, he was still going to be captive. You've been trying to go into your next season holding on to the stuff of the past. You've been trying to go into your next season, and God can't release you until you begin to change some things. God cannot let you go until you begin to forgive some folks who you've been had some resentment against. Some folks who hurt your feelings. The folks who talked about you. The folks who persecuted you. God said you got to let it go before I can set you free. Before I can begin to change you, I got to change some stuff that's going on around you. So God said you got to begin to trust in me before I can just set you free. So then after bouncing back after prayer, you can bounce back for a blessing. So this fourth and final point. This fourth and final point is you bounce back for a blessing. So, looking at verse 10, the Bible declares that when Job prayed for his friends, it says that his losses were restored. It said he was blessed twice as much as he had before. Then, watch this. So God blessed him double for everything he went through. You've been going through hell in your life, and God is getting ready to reward you for your trouble that you went through. See, God had to work on his spiritually, and he also blessed him materially after. See, Job wasn't expecting anything in return, but God said, look, I'm going to work on you spiritually first. But then I'm going to go ahead and be this type of God. Because of my grace, because it's sufficient on today, I'm going to give you some spiritual things also. See, God has been trying to work on you spiritually, but he also going to bless you with some stuff in this season. See, the stuff that were holding you back in the last season, God is getting ready to restore it back. See, God has to change some stuff about you. Maybe you lost your joy. Maybe you lost your happiness. Maybe you lost your peace. And once God begins to restore that back, God said, once you begin to appreciate that, now I can bless you with a new house. Now I can bless you with a new car. I can bless you with a new job. But I just had to work on your spiritually first so you can appreciate when I bless you with the material stuff. So God said, I'm going to bless you right now. But I got to work on you first. Once he worked on him, once he began to bless him with this stuff, it said all his sisters, all his brothers, everybody who was his acquaintance, everyone who watched him go through hell, everyone who watched him go through some stuff, they said they began to console him because, you know, once you begin to, even when you lost some stuff, that still don't take the hurt away. See, supposedly expected for you to stop crying because God has blessed you. Supposed to have expected you to stop complaining because God has blessed you. But God is saying this. I understand you're still hurting, but the folks who watch you going through, not only are they going to console you, but I'm going to allow them to bless you in this next season. Watch this. They consoled him, but then they also had to blame him something in his next season. See, the thing that they brought him was say they brought him a piece of silver, and they also brought him a ring of gold. See, Job had everything, but God had a lot for the folks who had talked about him. I can imagine some of them were looking at him and say, look at poor Job with all those boils on his body. Look at Job going through all of this hell. Look at Job ripping clothes off. Look at Job that shaved his head. I understand the stuff that I went through. God is going to allow to bless me.
Yes, sir.
So your friends are going to have to bless you. Your family are going to have to bless you in this next season.
Yeah.
So he was still hurting. So they consoled him, but then they brought him some stuff.
Yeah.
That was going to allow for him to make it through the next season.
Yes, sir.
And so the folks who talked about, go ahead and let them talk about you on today.
Yes.
The folks who called you no good, the folks who said you won't amount to anything, go ahead and let them say it.
Yeah.
Because once God restores you, God is going to restore you double for everything you went through.
Yes, sir.
The Bible declares in verse number 12, it says his latter day will bless better than his beginning.
Yeah.
See, the way that you started out is not going to be the way that you end.
Yes, sir.
See, the beginning may not have been the best.
Yes, sir.
But God is not worried about the beginning, but he's worried about the finish.
Yes, sir.
See, I think about a person that's running in a race. See, your start does not determine how you finish the race.
Right.
See, sometimes you may get behind on the course, but God is saying just finish strong.
Yes, sir.
And then you can endure to the end. So it says he was blessed double. With his sheep, he was blessed double. With his camels, he was blessed double. With his oxen, he was blessed double. With his female donkey. Then all the kids he had lost were restored back. So I began to say Job had a great ending to his life.
Yes.
But then if you go down to verse number 17, it says, so Job died, old and full of days. It says the Bible declares that Job was 140 years old when he died. And when they say full of days, that just means that he was satisfied. When Job died, he was satisfied.
Yes, sir.
You may go through some hell in your life, but God is going to allow for you to be satisfied in your latter days. Is there anybody here on today that wonders why bad things happen to bad people or good people? You may be a good person in your life, but still a person comes for no reason. You may be a good person in your life, but still things come up along the way. Sometimes bad things just happen to good people. But God is going to allow you in this next season to bounce back stronger than before. God is going to allow you in this next season to be blessed in this next season. God is going to allow for the folks who talked about you to bless you in this next season. And so here it is on today that your blessing is contingent on how you respond. See, Job could have been in a pity party. Job could have allowed for the folks to get him down. But Job still was good enough to say, though you slay me, yet still I trust. Though you take me through this, I'm going to come out as pure gold. Somebody been going through hell in your life, but God is going to allow for you to bounce back. You've been going through hell in your life, but God is going to allow for you to bounce back. You've been going through trouble in your life, but God is going to allow for you to bounce back. See, I understand in this next season, God is going to bless me. I understand in this next season, the things that I lost, God is going to allow for me to have double. In this next season, somebody's going to be getting a financial breakthrough. In this next season, somebody's going to get a deliverance in their life. Do anybody believe on today that God is going to begin to bless your latter days? I don't know about you on today, but I've been through some hell in my life. I understand on today why I got to go through some stuff. But God just take me through it so I can be better on today. Is there anybody here on today that's made it up in your mind that I'm not going to worry about what people are saying around me? I'm not going to worry about what I go through because I know I serve a saving God that's going to allow for me to bounce back. Anybody here on today that knows you can bounce back? In this next season of my life, God is going to bring me out. In this next season of my life, God is going to give me a breakthrough. In this next season of my life, God is going to bless me with more than I had before. In the next season of my life, God is going to see me through. I don't know about you on today, but tears have to cease. In the next season, I don't know about you on today, but problems have to stop. In this next season, I don't know about you on today, but things have to stop. In this next season, God is restoring me. In this next season, so I might go through some hell right now, but God is blessing me. In this next season of my life, God is going to bless me. In this next season, for the grace I stood over, God is blessing me. The stuff I had to go through, God is blessing me. The tears that I shed, God is hard. God is going to bless me on today. The stuff that I went through, God is blessing me. So I'm going ahead and praise Him right now. future generation to save old rich like me. Not only did he do that, but when he went up to the cross, the Bible declares that he hung his head and then he died. He went down to a borrowed tomb. He stayed there that first day. He stayed there that second day. But somebody say he bounced back early on that third day morning for a sinner like me. That tells me on today I can have some assurance in this next season. I can have joy in this next season. I can have peace in this next season. Because God is going to allow for me to bounce back. You've been going through some things. You don't understand why. But God's going to allow for you to bounce back in this next season. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you can bounce back. In this next season of your life. God is going to bless you. You've been crying. You've been going through everything in your life. The folks who talked about you, the folks who didn't understand why you were going through, God is going to use those same people to bless you on today. God is going to use those same people to turn your situation around. So sometimes it's just intention on what you can do for others. God don't want you to get in the pity party, but he still wants you to think about other people in the midst of your trial. God said, just go ahead and pray for them. They don't understand what they do. In this next season, you bouncing back. I can declare and I decree that God has a special calling and a purpose for your trial. And once he brings you out, he's going to bring you back better than pure gold. We go ahead and stand on